So I work for a brokerage called Zoocasa. So we're one of the kind of second biggest search website for real estate in Canada right now. And I'm the number one agent at that company. So we got 100 agents there right now. I probably do about, I don't know, 40 to 60 deals this year. The key, the keyest indicator in my business and how successful it's going to be is how many in-person meetings I'm having. Because if you're going to give me your attention for 40 minutes, I think my likelihood goes up quite a bit versus a 3-minute phone call. These guys do the best job, but they're the most expensive. I can go with this person, or this person for flooring. But like at the end of the day, if you work really, really hard today, like August and September will be absolute gold for you. As soon as your last deal's done, you're fucking unemployed. Like that's just kind of what it is.
Emma Pace, real estate badass. I absolutely love Emma. She's crushing it just on a different level as a realtor in the GTA. I'm pretty sure Toronto's got 60,000 plus realtors, but I know they've only got one Emma. And so in today's video, Emma joins me and my wholesale team. If you guys didn't know, I've got a full-time team of wholesalers. We've got 5 full-time guys just working, generating wholesale deals for us. And we meet every weekday at 8 a.m. And every Wednesday at 8 a.m., we bring on a special guest just to fire us up, as well as reinstill the work ethic necessary to get the level of success we've committed to. And in today's video, Emma, she's our guest speaker, and she's going to explain to us exactly how she's built up her empire as a realtor. And legit, she is crushing it on a different level compared to your average Toronto realtor. So whether you're a wholesaler, a realtor, or just a real estate investor, there's something for everyone in today's video. And let's just dive into it. All right, so I'd love to just kind of chat with you about a variety of different subject matters, but before we even dive into it, do you mind, could you just kind of flex on these guys about how impressive you are?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I have only met a couple of you guys. It's a lot of new faces for me in here for sure. So my name's Emma. I'm an agent in Toronto, but I also do some real estate investing. I'm from London originally. So I work for a brokerage called Zoocasa. So we're one of the kind of second biggest search website for real estate in Canada right now. And I'm the number one agent at that company. So we got 100 agents there right now. I do I'll probably do about, I don't know, 40 to 60 deals this year, depending on how the rest of this year goes. We'll see. But yeah, I think I've been in it for 4.5 years now. It's gone pretty well. I'm hoping to continue to upgrade the investing side of things, but also interested to learn a little bit more about what you guys are doing on the wholesale side of things, because it sounds like you guys are really ramping up.
Yeah, we're definitely trying to. Awesome. Appreciate the context, Emma.
And I think that this whole COVID thing has actually really changed my business model in terms of how I'm going forward. Instead of doing a lot of buyer consultation, we can't do buyer consultations in person. So obviously everything's been over Zoom, and that's really helped me to keep my business more concise. So I think even going forward beyond this whole COVID thing, when the restrictions ease, I'm going to continue to do just Zoom consultations. Because my goal at the beginning of the year was to do at least 4 buyer consultations a week, with the intention that at least 25% of those I should be able to get as immediate clients, which would mean that I could do 1 deal per week if I could just hit those metrics. And then with that being said, if I was meeting 4 people, I'd imagine one of those people I could turn around kind of right away. And then at least another one of those people I'd be able to turn around probably at some point in time this year or whatever. So that's kind of where I got to the, wanting to be kind of 60 to 65 deals this year. But I was finding it super challenging with my schedule to meet 4 different people in person, plus coordinate showings, plus coordinate with Chase, and try and, find the time to onboard and find new clients for the following week. It was just a little challenging from like a Toronto commute perspective and that kind of thing. Whereas now I'm finding these Zoom calls, it's like I've been able to kind of shorten my my scripting for that call from like an hour to about 35-40 minutes. And I could do back-to-back Zoom calls. I could do all 4 Zoom calls in a day, and it would be what it would take me to do 1 previously. So I think it's actually going to help me significantly by having this, my hand being forced to do business this way.
Yeah, it's really interesting how I think just this whole situation's just compressed time for a lot of us, right? The innovation was
Yeah.
eventually going to happen. It just happened a lot faster than it otherwise would have. Do you mind kind of
Yeah.
breaking down for us? Uh, and it doesn't have to be super detailed, but what did the last 4 years look like? Like, what would the highlight reel be, or how did you get from where you started? And do you mind just kind of telling us like how you originally started or what you were doing before you became a realtor? Just for a bit of
Yeah.
context.
Yeah, so I was working at Enterprise Rent a Car, and I was DJing, and then I quit Enterprise because I wanted to DJ, and I thought getting my real estate license would be sweet because I would have all the time in the world to do whatever I wanted to, and then quickly got a swift kick in the ass to be like, yeah, that shit doesn't work at all. You're either all in or all out. Like if you wanna, if you want to do well in real estate and you're all in, like you'll do well. But I think you can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like you gotta jump right in and do it, or you kind of just gotta shit or get off the pot, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, the first year in real estate looked like I started just kind of like as an independent agent. Things went well for me. I did a lot of Kijiji like leases and whatever, and my game plan at that point was to I didn't know anyone who could afford to buy a house. Like I just didn't know. Most of my friends still are not in a position where they can buy a house. So I was like, how am I going to get clients? Like, I don't fucking know anybody in this city. I think I was 25 at the time. And I was like, none of my friends are in a position to buy a house in Toronto. That's for sure. So I was like, what's my game plan going to be? My game plan was to find lease, clients on Kijiji because it would be easy enough to do that. And then, but advertise leases that were expensive enough that these people might have the opportunity to actually buy. They might just be uneducated on how to do it. And so that's how I actually got my first 2 deals, was converting lease leads that came through and then pitching them on, why are you spending $3,000 a month on this lease? Do you have the capacity for a down payment? And then they were like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that kind of thing. Right. So that was how I kind of got my first couple deals done. And then basically from there, I had interviewed with Keller Williams. I'm not sure, is Keller Williams big in London, Matt? Or
Yeah, they got a good size group for sure. It's
okay,
not like a Keller Williams city per se,
yeah,
but like there's a lot still.
yeah. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Keller Williams, but I mean, it's very like Kool-Aid drinking type of brokerage, which I'm actually kind of down with completely, because I feel like a lot of brokerages are just like, do your own thing, pay us. We're not going to give you any training or whatever. And I kind of like Keller Williams. They actually like have a plan for you and a map that if you just follow it, you'll be successful in real estate. So one of the things that they do really well is connect with old agents who have interviewed with them. So I saw a posting on Facebook that basically said, real estate team in Toronto looking for buyers agents, but you have to make 100K a year, otherwise you won't be considered. And I was like, well, I'm definitely not making 100K a year right now, but I'm gonna shoot my shot, see how this shit goes. So I convinced the guy to give me an interview, and then he basically said like, yeah, you're definitely not in a position where this team would want to take you on. And I just told him like, look, let her make that decision. Just get me in front of her. Just get me an interview, and I won't make you look like an idiot. Just like let me have my chance. And so I just went in there and I just sold the shit out of myself on why I'm not making 100K a year, but I'm confident that after the first year I'm gonna be making well over 100K. And just kind of convinced her to take a little bit of a chance on me based on my work ethic and based on just trying to sell her on myself. And she had me start as a showing specialist, which is, what we're just talking about, the guy that works for me now. So I was getting paid hourly and then a very small percentage of an agent's commission. So it was the top agent on the team. And I'd basically shadow her, do all of her showings for her. Basically I was her runner and I was doing a lot of the work for her, but I was basically getting paid to learn. And that helped to absolutely skyrocket everything. I mean, I was in that role. I mean, most people are in that role for about a year to year and a half if they're just kind of, just starting and they're not they're not hungry and whatever. So I was only in that role for like 4 to 5 months. And then as soon as I got out of it, I probably had 2 to 3 years worth of an average agent's experience, because I was going through so many transactions and I could answer so many questions that other agents couldn't, because in my 5 months, I had probably done like 20 or 30 deals. I didn't really have very many objections meeting new clients. They were never like, oh, are you a brand new agent or anything like that, because I had done it already. It just wasn't technically my own business. So yeah, I mean, the first year went pretty well. I think I did about, I think my first year I did about 250 GCI. So that's top line. So yeah, 250,000 in gross commissions is what I did for my first year. And then, I thought I was like, oh, I'm pretty good for my first year or whatever. And then, I just decided, like, man, I really have to beat my numbers. Like, if I want to excel in this company, and I want to be, so to give you guys an idea, like, our company gives us leads. So I thought, if I'm going to be at the forefront of getting the best quality leads that come through this company, I mean, any company is in business to do business, and they're going to give business to the people that are going to be able to close it. That was my position. So I just said, whatever I need to do to be the front runner to be able to get the best leads, that's just going to help me leverage, and that's just going to help me snowball my business so much quicker. Even if it's cherry picking a little bit, that's cool. So that was my position for my first couple of years, was just kind of like work my ass off. And every single year my business has grown. It's grown pretty exponentially. I'm, curious to kind of see how this year goes. I think I'll probably hit the same number that I did, and hopefully still beat that from last year. But I'm really focusing on relationship building right now, because I think it's, time to plant seeds, not necessarily try and, get some sales done, but definitely build some relationships right now.
Yeah, awesome. I really appreciate that. And I just want to point out, guys, real quick, let's look at some of the most successful realtors we've spoken to or know about so far. Emma, Cloud, and Graham all started off doing leases. And that's literally the shit no one wants to do as a realtor, because it's not the get rich quick approach. It's literally the marathon approach, right? So I just wanted to highlight that in case any of us weren't paying a lot of attention the last couple talks, but that's powerful to me. And then as well, Emma not only did that, but positioned herself as a problem solver for those people. So actually trying to provide value to them, right? Trying to solve, like, hey, you're paying like $3,000 a month for a lease. Would you rather own this joint? Because you could actually just like set up a mortgage and be able to do it. So Emma, I'd love to get your perspective on, you talked about how Keller Williams had a roadmap for like their agents and stuff. They're really bought in. We've tried developing a roadmap for our wholesalers as well. And for me, I'm a huge fan of a book called The 4 Disciplines of Execution. And in that book, it talks about, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but I'd recommend it. But anyways, it talks about lead and lag measures. And so a lead measure is something that occurs before success, and a lag measure is something that occurs after success. And if you want to really apply leverage to your situation, you should really get dialed in on the lead measures. So the things that happen before success. For me, when I look at wholesaling, or really just trying to do real estate transactions in general, the lag measure is, as a realtor, is your commission, right? Or as a wholesaler, it's your wholesale fee. The lead measure, to me, as a wholesaler, comes down to making offers. From my perspective, it's the one thing, it's the closest thing to the money that we can still be in complete control of. Because I can't necessarily control whether someone accepts my offer. I can't control whether, if I have an accepted offer, someone assigns it and buys the deal from me. But I can pretty much always control on a day-to-day basis the number of offers I put out. And as we explored this as a team, we decided that, based upon our historical experience, that for most of the guys on this call, that one offer a day would likely set them up for success in regards to hitting their financial goals. And then we discussed a little bit further as a team, and we recognized that realistically, a private offer and an MLS offer aren't created equally for us, right, as wholesalers. Yeah. So we decided to mark on a grading scale where the wholesale or the MLS offer counts as 0.5. So essentially you'd have to do 2 MLS offers to count as one offer. And I just want to hear your perspective on that. Do you think, is there something else you would focus on? Or when you were starting out as a realtor, was there a lead measure you focused on? Was it conversations? Was it emails? Was it ads posted? What did you focus on to actually really drive your business?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think for me personally, it was, it's getting like, it's conversations in person for the most part, right? Like obviously having conversations on the phone is great. And I would always have my, metrics that I would want to hit, and I still have them. But I think for me, the key, the keyest indicator in my business and how successful it's going to be is how many in-person meetings I'm having, because I know that, my likelihood of getting that person as a client it's probably higher than 80% if I can meet them in person. So my metric was always how many in-person meetings can I get, because I think I can pretty much, within reason, pretty accurately depict what my business will look like if I can go off of my in-person meeting results. Like for me, that is and always has been my thing, which is why I said I want four meetings per week, because I know at minimum I can get one of those four people. And the likelihood is I can probably get two of those four people. I might get like a home run that we can get all four of them, kind of thing. Right. But my position has always been in-person meetings. And right now that means Zoom calls. I think, to be completely honest, clients are actually a little bit more dialed in on the Zoom call than they are even in a coffee shop, because there's less distractions. You know, it's super concise. It's just basically me sharing my screen, doing my thing, and I feel like it's much easier to provide value. So I would consider a Zoom call same thing as sort of like an in-person coffee meeting. It's just like, how do I get your attention for 40 minutes? Because if you're going to give me your attention for 40 minutes, I think my likelihood goes up quite a bit versus a 3-minute phone call kind of thing, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So one of the things we as a team have been struggling to do is actually make those offers and do it on a consistent basis. Are there any routines or things you do on a regular basis that help you stay on track? Or also if you just have any insights in general or thoughts in regards to how to get these guys to make more offers, I'm all ears.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. Is there a particular reason why people are not making offers, right? Is it like you're scared to get no? Is it like you don't want to do the paperwork? Like, I think there's a variety of variables, and maybe every single person's is slightly different. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, the only way you're going to make money is to make offers. So, like, it's pretty black and white. It's like, if you want to make money, you should just make offers. Like, I know it kind of sucks. There's things in my business that I don't want to fucking call 100 people a day, but I can tell you the days that I call 100 people, at the end of the day, I'm like, all right, that was a good day. Like, the ball's rolling, whatever. And then I take 3 days off and I don't call people. And then I'm freaking out. I'm like, okay, business sucks and I got no money and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, okay, well, it's kind of all on me, right? So, I mean, if your my business model is in-person meetings, like, that's just my metric. I think if your metric in the wholesale business, I'm not obviously as familiar with it as the realtor business, but if your metric is just offers, like, only focus on the offers. Like, that's the only thing that you guys really need to focus on to make money, right? I mean, I think we get distracted by all the little easier things that there are to do, when really at the end of the day, the only thing I need to do is make phone calls and meet people in person. Because I know if I do those two things, my business will be on fire. And I think for you guys, the only thing you really need to do is make offers on houses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's very simple.
I appreciate that. How do you deal with dry spells as a realtor? Like, do you go through boom bust cycles, and like, how do you get yourself back on track? And like, do you spend a lot of time worrying about like self-talk or self-narrative? Like, I know that you came down to Grant Cardone's 10X with us, but how much time do you worry about that? And like, how do you break out of those dry spells, whether it's like a real dry spell or a perceived dry spell?
Yeah, I think definitely at the beginning of my career, it was very mentally draining and definitely challenging, because it's like, oh my God, I'm never going to do business again. It's like you have all of these deals, and then it's like in our business, both, both wholesaling and realtor business, it's like as soon as your last deal's done, you're fucking unemployed. Like that's just kind of what it is. You know what I mean? Like if you don't have another deal, like you're unemployed right now. So you better figure out how to employ yourself. But I think, I went through the kind of roller coaster and the ups and downs of like, I'm so great. Oh, I'm terrible. Like I got nothing going on. And I think that's just an inevitable thing that is always going to occur in our business. And how you kind of deal with your mental self-talk is very key as to your approach and how you're going to continue to go. I think my experience over the last 4 years in terms of spreading my business out or knowing my personal downfalls, where it's like I have 10 deals on the go and I'm not onboarding any clients right now because I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so swamped, I can't take on any more clients. I realized like as soon as like maybe 4 of those deals are out of the way, I better start working on onboarding new clients, because the other 6 are going to drop and it's going to be amazing. It's going to feel great to get those 10 deals done. But as soon as those people are gone, I'm going to be freaking out because I'm not going to have any more business. Right. So it's a little bit more just like self-management and understanding your personal patterns, because I didn't understand that for a long time. And I would just go balls to the wall and then get as many deals done as I could. And then I'd have like, 4 weeks where I would have to focus again on getting the ball rolling and onboarding. Whereas that it's like, if I just managed my time maybe a little bit better 2 or 3 weeks ago, I wouldn't be in this position. I'd still have 1 or 2 active clients at the same, at all times kind of thing. So I've got a little bit better with that. But I think, at the end of the day, my position is always this: your business is 90 days away from whatever your actions are today. Like that's always been my thought, right? Whatever you do today, you will reap the rewards of in probably 3 months from now. And it really sucks because human nature is like, we just want the shit now. Like I'm working hard now. I feel like I deserve my shit now. But like at the end of the day, if you work really, really hard today, like August and September will be absolute gold for you. They just will.
Mm-hmm.
If you work really, really hard today, like you might get a deal tomorrow, but you probably won't. But if you worked really, really, really hard 3 months ago, you'd probably be rolling in it right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always my kind of thought.
Yeah, that's really well said. I wrote down a quote that I'm going to make a social media post about afterwards. As soon as your last deal's done, you're unemployed now. That's fucking epic.
That's what it is.
So Emma, who do you turn to for inspiration or motivation, or who's your Roger Bannister? We talk about Roger Bannister a lot, the guy that ran the 4-minute mile that kind of set the pace for other people.
Yeah. I think honestly, I'm the type of person where like I probably listen to a song that I love like way too many times right at the beginning, where I burn it out. You know what I mean? So for me, I feel like I go through these different sort of transitions of who and what I'm interested in, and I burn it out to the max. Like with the Grant Cardone thing, it was like I'll watch fucking Grant Cardone like from 9 p.m. to like 2 a.m. every day. And then it's just like by 2 a.m. I'm so jacked up, I can't sleep and whatever, right? And then like 6 months into that, I'm like, this isn't my guy anymore. I'm more about like the mental health type of thing or whatever, right? So I think I go through different phases. Like I've gone through the Gary Vee phase, I've gone through the Grant Cardone, but I always come back. So I think I kind of have like my top 5. I mean, I love David Goggins. I think he's hardcore as hell, but I also think that like, sometimes you need a guy like that. I like Graham Stephan. I think that he puts a lot of, I think his points are relatively basic, but I also think that he distills things down so well and makes them so simple. So I think I kind of have like my 4 or 5 guys that I rotate through, but sometimes I'm very into the sales. Sometimes I'm very into the finance. Sometimes I'm very into, just taking care of myself. And I think that you should probably have like your key pillar person for each of those things, because you're just not always going to be 100% in wholesale sales mode. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be motivated in some other kind of pillar of your life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Who are you competing against? You mentioned that you're always trying to beat your past self. For you, is it literally just golf and you're trying to beat your personal record? Is there anyone you're currently chasing or that motivates you to do more? Because like by pretty much anyone's definition, you're wildly successful at this point. So why go harder?
I think I'm not gonna lie, it's something that I'm struggling with right now, because I'm very hardcore committed to working with the company that I have, because I have grown from basically nothing to where I am now. And I feel that they've contributed in a large part to that by their business model, and I really like it. But I think I'm struggling right now by, we've had this conversation before about, you are, a result of the 5 people that you hang around with most. And I actually feel like I've been slipping on that in the last, probably 4 months. And I feel like that's not dragging me down, but it's left me less motivated. And I also feel like I don't really have that at Zoo. I don't have the person that I'm competing with to be better. So to be completely honest with my answer right now, it's like, I don't know. Like I'm trying to find other people out there to stay competitive with. In the real estate kind of game, whether it's like even watching like Ryan Serhant to be like, fuck, this guy's selling like $40 million condos. Like the least I can do is sell like 3 million. Like, come on. You know what I mean? And it's like, but I don't know the guy personally. So I think that's actually one of my big points in my life right now, is that I need to start reconnecting with people who are upping my game, because I'm still performing at a high level, but I have much more that I can give. I know that.
Yeah, I definitely sympathize with that perspective. I feel like I'm going through a similar phase right now where 2 or 3 years ago, I think I really leveled up the people around me and my influences. And I've been kind of running that at that pace for quite a while. And recently, for a multitude of reasons, some of them have dropped off. Some of them I've just like surpassed at this point, or they're now peers. And for me, there's a lot of value in having someone in the crosshairs. Like it
Yeah,
just is
I think so
motivating.
for sure, man. And I think that every single person is probably going to end up going through these, peaks and plateaus that we're probably in right now. And but I think that that's important that like we both recognize it. Like we're not ignorant to the fact that it's, we both recognize that we need to do it. It's on our plate to do. And, it's just like, who is that next person? Who are those next targets going to be? And, I think both of our businesses have got to where they are because of networking. So it's like, we just got to
Yeah.
expand that network and find the people who are kind of in that next tier and just gone. But like, there's a lot more in the tank for both of us. It doesn't matter really how successful you are. There's definitely someone out there who's kicking your ass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. Before we open up to kind of questions where the guys can hop in here if they've got a
Yeah.
question for you, um, how can we help you? Like what sort of investment properties are you looking for, or is it referrals, or what can we do to help out Emma to crush 2020?
Um, I mean, yeah, any kind of deals in London. I think you guys are still doing the smaller stuff, referrals, that kind of stuff is great. That always helps my business. I think at the end of the day, like even hopping on these calls or something more regularly is actually probably more beneficial for me than anything than giving me anything for my business. Because I think at the end of the day, like I'm in complete control of my business outside of this. You guys give me referrals or investments or anything like that. But I think like even just hopping on these calls for motivation to kind of continue that circle, because I feel like it's a tough thing with realtors, right? And I mean, I'm sure you guys probably see it with the wholesale team too. It's like there's a lot of people out there who are just like, oh, it's just so fucking doom and gloom all the time. And when people are like, when people, even though you might not believe it and people are chirping that in your ear, like something in your brain
Yeah,
just starts to like not necessarily believe it, but like you're just like, oh, okay, like maybe I can do a little less because
it
like
seeps in.
this is the time or whatever. It's like I need to like really start tuning that out, because I feel like a lot of agents want to use this time as an excuse, where I
Yeah,
feel like this is the time where it's like I have used all of my excusable time prior to this date. Like that's kind of how I feel in this
Yeah.
whole COVID thing. And it's like I really need to, I have definitely been dialing it back in, but I also think that like these next maybe 8 weeks are going to be a very, very, very good opportunity for the real estate market and to take advantage of people's mentality on being more optimistic about the market. Like people are really starting to turn around now that if you just dial it in, I feel like there's a lot of deals to be able to get done in the next 2 months.
Yeah. I think it's important for all of us to remember that everyone's going to have a COVID story, but how that COVID story reads is completely up to us. 95% of people's COVID story is going to be poor me. I was a victim to this circumstance that fucked up the world. And then 5% of people are going to be like, this is the time that I popped. This is the time that I got dialed in on who I am, what I'm about, and just doubled down when everyone else was distracted. And I definitely know which side of that equation I want to be on. Do you want to get control of your financial life? Do you want to crush it in real estate with wholesaling? Do you want to join my full-time team of wholesalers like Mike? Or Shahir? Or what about Tyler? Or Diego? Or what about Amar? All right, and what do we do, boys?
We make offers, we buy fast. Never gonna miss a deal cause we pay cash. Offers, 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 deals, deals, deals. Tell us, Mr. Seller, what price do you feel? Cause we're Southwestern's biggest source of deals.
Boom! So if you guys want to crush it with wholesaling, you need to join my team. And down below, video description, there's all the links you need. Yeah. I think it's important for all of us to remember that everyone's going to have a COVID story, but how that COVID story reads is completely up to us. 95% of people's COVID story is going to be poor me. I was a victim to this circumstance that fucked up the world. And then 5% of people are going to be like, this is the time that I popped. This is the time that I got dialed in on who I am, what I'm about, and just doubled down when everyone else was distracted. And I definitely know which side of that equation I want to be on. All right, guys. Any questions for Emma?
Yeah, thanks for coming on, by the way, Emma. I really do appreciate some good insight. That's a lot of work ethic to be, number one in your company. That's awesome.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but we had met at OREC.
Yeah, I remember. I met you like 2 or 3 times, right?
Yeah, we've met a few times, and I remember when we were talking, you mentioned that your investment strategy in Toronto was just buying condos and whatnot, right? Is that still your investment strategy right now, or like what are you focusing on exactly?
No, I mean, I think I'm starting to hit the mentality that I still think the smaller stuff makes a lot of sense. It's not necessarily condos, but I think, I've got a duplex. I've got the student rental in London. I kind of went like just whatever deal I felt was good. I didn't really, I have a student rental. I had an Airbnb, a duplex in Toronto. Like, it was just like whatever the deal was that I felt was good.
Okay, right.
At the time was great. And I think now just honing, to me, like a deal is a deal. I don't want to just pigeonhole myself to being like, only Airbnbs or only this or whatever. It's like, if this is the perfect student rental and it's a way better deal than this duplex, like why wouldn't I take that just to stick with one strategy? Like, I feel like you should be open to whatever the best investment is out there. But I think going forward, like I definitely want to hone in on the bigger multifamilies. I think when people get into investing, they're scared of the numbers, right? Like I wanted to buy things that are like 200 or less because I was like so scared. I'm like, oh, the risk exposure is less. Now I'm just like, fuck it. 2 million, 200,000. If the numbers work, the numbers work. I think I've built my confidence enough by having these couple properties that I'm willing to take a bigger, we'll say bigger risk. At the end of the day, I think all risk is the same. It's if you're buying a deal, you're into the deal kind of thing. So I think going forward, I want to go for bigger multifamilies because now I've built my confidence, and I think that everyone kind of needs to get that base layer with the investing. You know what I mean? Like you got to get it out of the way. You got to like make a couple good decisions so that you can confirm or reaffirm your work ethic or your numbers or whatever it is. And I think that like I'm kind of at that point where it's like I have my base level properties right now that will be kind of like my personal properties for when I retire, give to my kids or whatever it happens to be. And like now I want to like take it to the next level with the investing on like the bigger multifamily stuff.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you. It's good.
Yeah, sure, man.
I've got a question for you, Emma.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm having a tough time with deal disposition. So I'm sure you sell a lot of deals as well as find people deals. How does that look like for an agent? I mean, we're kind of similar with what we do. So
Yeah, man.
I'm just straight up selling to investors. So
Yeah, I know. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a tougher period of time, right? I think, like even in Toronto, I'm taking listings now that would have otherwise probably sold in a day if it wasn't for the COVID situation. And so, you know, it's different for you because you're the fucking seller. Like I have to set the expectation with other people when I'm going to sell their house. It's more, to be completely honest, you're in a more difficult position because you're the one who's going to be stuck with the house if you don't sell it, right? So are you guys like still going in firm on deals, or do you guys take conditional deals, or like how does it work right now?
We primarily
we have,
focus on conditional.
Conditional, okay. So because you want the opportunity to be able to back out, right?
Yeah, so we'll always, like, we're willing to make a cash offer, but people would always prefer to take our conditional, right? Just kind of
yes,
the AB.
of course. Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, everybody's driven by money, and you know, if there's an out, you're probably going to get a little bit more money on the table. I think, to be completely honest, and I don't really know if this is realistic or not in your business because I don't really work from that perspective, but I think what my position is with most of my clients right now is you're going to want me to sell your house in like 3 to 6 days because you have pre-COVID mentality. And I'm not going to be able to set the right expectation. You're not going to understand until we're like 2 weeks into this. And you're like, why the fuck isn't my house sold? That's just what the market is. Like, we're not doing anything wrong. It's just people are taking more time to make a decision. They have the right to do that because the market conditions have changed in their favor to do so. So maybe it ends up being that like you double up your conditional period if these people don't know what a traditional conditional period is, because you're going to need more time to sell a property. Like you just are, because investors want to shop more deals. They want to take a little bit more time to make a decision. They need to be extra careful, or they feel like they need to be extra careful in this particular market because there's still some uncertainty. And what that all equates to is that we need more time. So if you can maybe double up on your conditional period, I don't even know if that's realistic. I might just be talking out of my ass right now. But if I was in your position, That's the one thing I'd want to do is just buy myself as much time as possible, because I know people are taking more time to make a decision right now.
Yeah, I think that's great advice.
Yeah, that is good. I find when I do have longer conditional periods, I sometimes put the thing off till the end though, which kind of sucks too. With the shorter conditional period, makes it. But yeah, at the same time, like, I guess I was looking for something like tactical, like what can I do to sell the deals I have?
I think there's like, the thing is like you've sold deals, like you know what you need to do. You need to do the same shit that you were doing before, but you need to adjust your expectation that like it's going to take you probably a little bit more time to get those results. And so instead of going, because I'm sure it's frustrating, man, like you're going out, you're spending all this fucking time, you're tying up this deal, and then you only have a certain period of time and then it's not getting sold. And you're like, why the fuck am I even doing this? Because nothing's selling. But I feel like as long as you're grinding from day one to the end of the conditional period, if you can extend that conditional period and buy yourself another 2, 3, 4 days, that is like, I think that will be key for you. Maybe you do have to work harder and sell the deals a little bit harder. I don't know what your strategy is. I know you guys send out the emails and stuff like.
Yeah, grinding harder will definitely be the thing. I think I've just kind of lacked on the grinding on the disposition, because Matt even told us that like we're gonna have to work harder to make less money, and that's basically true right now. So
that it's 100% true. But like, tell me this, Nawiki, like when you guys get so let's say you put something under contract, right? Like what are the next steps after that? Like what does that look like for you?
We create a sales sheet to put all the data points on one page, and then that gets sent out to our email list. And then we're supposed to, which I haven't post every day on Instagram and Facebook, go live on Facebook explaining the deal. And then what I like to do too is I just call my main buyers and have a conversation with all of them.
So you have all your buyers in a CRM and all that, I'm assuming, right?
No, we just hand bomb.
You guys are cut out for me. I don't know Wi-Fi cut out
We
there at
we
all.
don't use a CRM.
No. So I mean, like, I think, to be completely honest, if it were me and like business was slow right now, I'd be doing, like, right now I feel like it sucks, but it's a very good time to just get caught up on all your admin shit that you would otherwise want to do, because as soon as business comes back, you're not going to be doing any of that admin shit, and it's going to get even more terrible. Like mine is too. I have my CRM to use. It's fucking brutal. I'm like, you missed a week of it, not making, not logging. You're still doing business. Like you're still doing the things that you need to do, but you're slacking on the admin. So, I mean, for me, thinking about like, how could you make an improvement? Maybe you guys collectively as a team need to put all your buyers in a CRM and tag them like, this person's looking for student rentals, this person's looking for this, whatever. And if I were you, I'd be fucking calling every single person and be like, look, I know you're more of a student rental guy. I got this deal that's coming up. I think it might be a perfect student rental. Here's maybe a little bit of wiggle room that we didn't post in the email. Like, we might be able to do this, this, or this for you. I know we've done a deal in the past. Whatever, maybe it ends up saving you a couple $1,000 more, or whatever happens to be. But like, I'd be trying to connect with individual people that this particular deal might work with to try and get that sold. But I feel like it's challenging because like, you have your own people, I'm sure, Mike, but like Tyler probably has a couple of like his own guys that you all know that you could otherwise call to sell this deal to, right? So, I mean, if it were me, I'd be trying to put everybody's buyers into one like team CRM and just kind of tag them as like, this person, this person's actually like a hot buyer. This person does a lot of deals. This person's like a fucking tire kicker, but like, I might as well still give them a call anyways because I got nothing else to do. And then it's just like, you have more people to call, because right now you're only calling your personal people, but like, how many people are on this call right now that have different buyers than you? Just leverage your team, I think.
Yeah, that is what I got out of this call. That's the biggest thing. I love that.
Just it's gonna fucking suck though if you do that. I'm just telling you. Not gonna lie, doing the CRM shit is brutal.
And then one other direction I'd like to take this conversation, just because I'm a bit more familiar, Emma, with one of your business models. In order to get more business and be more effective, you also really niched down and positioned yourself as an expert. Do you mind just kind of talking about the Airbnb approach you took?
Yeah. So, I mean, I did Airbnb before I did Airbnb kind of like right after Airbnb got. I had a friend of mine, an actress, and she was traveling quite a bit. And so she sort of told me, like, hey, I'm making all this money, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, fuck it. So I got like this shitty little lease in Yorkville and like this old, like 3-story walk-up building. Didn't even have like air conditioning or anything. So I rented this thing for like, I think like $850 a month at the time. It was super cheap. And I said, fuck it, I'm going to try this out. It worked out well. Like me and my wife were making, probably like $600, $700, $800 a month off it. And then I just decided like, I was just researching and I was trying to find more information about like other people who did Airbnb in Toronto, and there was like nothing on it. And I'm like, how is there nothing on the internet about this? And I was like, I guess I'll just be the person to try and fucking, make some content or whatever, try and talk to more people about doing this. Cause like, I think this is a great opportunity. And it just, I made that one video with you, Matt, and I feel like it was one of the only videos.
Yeah.
Probably more now. But it was just like, I just tried to find one little thing on the internet that didn't really have that much information about it. And it just so happened to be one that people wanted some information about. I mean, you have more background than I do about that kind of stuff, Matt, because you've been doing the videos for so long. But I feel like with the content creation, it's like you just go and you make like 40 videos, and if one slaps, it kind of like slaps forever, you know what I mean? And the other 39 might be just the fucking flop, but if the one goes, the one goes good.
But there's a lot of power in positioning yourself as the expert, right? Once people start having that halo effect towards you, all of a sudden, like, not only do they do a deal with you, but the moment one of their friends or buddies wants to get into that same niche, it's like, hey, who did you use to get that?
Call this person. Yeah, I mean, to that point, like, it's a much easier sales process when you look like the expert versus you look like the salesperson, right? Like, the difference between me meeting a lead from like your video, Matt, where I walk into a coffee shop and someone's like, "You're Emma?" And it's like, okay, like, you know who I am. Like, I don't, like, the wall's just down. I don't have to sell you on working with me anymore. Like, you're trying to sell me on working with you. But when I'm calling a Zoocastle lead, it's like, I gotta beg this person. I might know way more than every other agent that they've talked to, but like, they don't know what I look like. They don't know anything about me other than the fact that I'm trying to sell them a house. So how you're introduced to that person makes a big difference on how easy that sale is going to be, in my opinion.
And there's also something powerful just about knowing your shit. Like, it makes having the conversation a lot easier, doesn't it?
I think like that's just the ante to be in the game. Like, if you don't know your shit, what the fuck are you doing? Spend some time learning your shit. You know what I mean? Like, we have more than enough time right now to be able to improve and hone in our craft. And if there's something that you feel like you could be honing in on a little bit more, then you should be spending an hour a day or whatever it is. Like, I don't know how many people here are like new with wholesaling.
So Mike and Shahir would be our most experienced.
Yeah. And then so we have Tyler. You've been doing it for a little while, right?
Yeah, I've been doing it for 3 months now.
So I got 3 guys, Tyler, Tom, and Diego. Are you sorry, Tyler, you're with a buddy, right?
Yeah, this is Amar.
What's up, Amar?
Moved into the mansion and I just started getting into the business.
Okay, cool. So, and then Tom and Diego. Mina, are you wholesaling or are you just I know that you're buddies with Adam.
Yeah, I'm just a spy.
That's cool, man. That's cool. I kind of thought you were. I wasn't trying to like disregard you, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure he doesn't wholesale.
No, I don't.
Okay, cool. So relatively new, or
I started on mid-February, I think.
Mid-February? Okay, what about you, Tom?
I just started about a month ago.
Okay, so what's the one thing from each of you guys that you need to get better at?
Myself, I would say, well, right now dispositions is being really hard, but I think like even just understanding renovation costs still, because I haven't done as many in-person walkthroughs prior to getting properties under contract, been doing it more virtually.
Okay.
I need to understand renovation costs better.
Okay. Who does the most renovations of the group? Nowicki?
I've flipped a fuckload of apartment buildings in my past. Is that your question?
Yeah. So why, if that, like, does anybody else is anybody else struggling with that to understand the renovation costs? Tom, Tyler. So that's like, kind of like, that's one of the more difficult things when you're coming on as a wholesaler, then it sounds like.
For me, it is right now. That's what I would say. Just going into a fourplex and then being like, okay, how much I have an estimate, but I want to be like 100% confident with it rather than just be saying, I believe it to be this.
Right. So do you guys have like a team spreadsheet going of like, potential price per square foot for certain things that might need to be done? Like for me, I can tell you guys exactly what I did, and I'll share my secret with you. Pichet has a course, right? That's like some sort of renovation course, right? I just fucking paid for the course and I sat down for like 2 afternoons and I literally just made a spreadsheet of everything that he went through and how much they cost. And I share it with clients now too. Like I'll pull it up. I'll share my screen with you guys. And then what I'll do is I'm just going to continue to build on this as I go. And I just use this as my template now. So it might be something for you guys as a team to put together. And then it's like, oh fuck, I have like 10 minutes. I'm just going to study the spreadsheet. Like I need to know all the shit about flooring or whatever. And then at least you guys have something for, to kind of revert back to, because it's difficult, man. Like I've been in your position too, Tyler, where I'm like, I need to know about this renovation shit. Then you're like Googling, you go to like HomeStars, then you forget about it. It's like, if you just concise and make everything into one fucking spreadsheet, like I'll show you guys what I did. I just did this. Like, okay, cool, kitchens. Here are my, this is the one that he recommends. This is another guy that I know that makes custom kitchens. So if I know, I could just give this guy a call and ask him kind of what he would do. This is, if I want to do quartz countertops, it's going to cost me this much from this particular company on a price per square foot installed. If I want to do laminate, this is kind of what I'm thinking, right? Then I make a little bit in terms of notes for myself here. So, I mean, if you guys have, by no means am I a renovation expert at all. It's just from my research, I'm like, these are kind of like the main things I'm going to need to know. For kitchen, I need cabinets, I need counters, I need to know where I can get undermount or above mount sink, I need a faucet, backsplash, like all the things that I'm just the normal shit that I'm going to need. Same with flooring, whatever. I just went through and made myself a little bit of a spreadsheet on this. And then you guys can just go through and just study that spreadsheet, because there's only probably like, I don't know, let's call it 40 of the main things that you're going to need to know an approximate cost for. If you can just study those 40 things and know, boom, that's just one thing that you ticked off to make yourself more of an expert.
Awesome. Love it.
Nice. Yeah, that's helpful for sure. Thank you.
Anything else that you guys think that you're struggling with? Like, I mean, Nowicki, it might be worthwhile for you to hop on a call maybe with like the new guys and share that with them, because the more that you share, the better you're going to get too, right? The more calls that I have about being a realtor, my best practices, the better it makes me, because it just kind of like reaffirms that.
Yeah.
Matt's great for that too. Matt teaches all the time, and I'm sure, it makes him a better teacher. And that's probably something that, that's just, it builds your repertoire of things that you're getting better at. So if, Nowicki, if you're the renovation guy, then you should be the renovation guy on the team, and you should be able to be the outlet for these guys to come to, and it's going to make you even better at renovations.
Yeah,
that's
I
true.
love it.
And you're making me want to learn more, because now I'm realizing I don't have a spreadsheet and I need to see it. I need to have it laid out to even teach people, or I will at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, dude, all of this shit sucks. Like, I'm telling you right now, making that spreadsheet
so hard when it's in your just mind, because you have it in your mind, but putting it in to see it's so much different.
Yeah, but with these things, it's so much easier. If you have a team thing, and you're just like, okay, Nowicki's taking the kitchen, Tyler's going to take flooring, whatever, and you're calling around different companies, and you say, okay, in London, okay, now I've had 3 different conversations with 3 different companies in London. I'm not just taking the internet's fucking potentially correct or incorrect word on what the costs are going to be. I talked to 3 different companies in London. These guys do the best job, but they're the most expensive. I can go with this person, or this person for flooring. And so I get a better understanding when I'm buying these properties. Sure, it's a $200,000 property. I'm going to have to go with this connection, and I know exactly what's going to cost me. And the guy's in London, and he's the guy that's going to do it for me. You know what I mean? Like, you guys have a full team to be able to do that. You guys can hammer out this spreadsheet if you take room by room in fucking no time at all.
Yeah, I love that, Emma. And one thing I really want to point out here is Emma didn't just create the checklist for herself. She also now uses it as a way to provide value to her clients, right? That's actually really powerful. And circling or looping back to the Airbnb example, Emma originally, again, provided value initially because you had a lead magnet, right? Where it was they could, you had your Facebook ads, and it was get a list of the buildings that allowed you to do Airbnb or something like that, if I remember, right,
yeah.
Emma?
Yep, exactly, yep.
So let's think about it, guys. How often are we actually trying to provide value just to our buyers? Not trying to sell them anything, but just literally give them value. Do we ever actually reach out to give them value? Before we started doing our presentations, did we provide value? But also, look at how Emma's providing value. She's providing value to help clarify and give them confidence to move forward and do deals and do transactions, right? That's something very important and very powerful. So, for example, if I was in Chatham and I wanted to try and get people more confident in buying in Chatham, I might just literally post daily updates about what's going on in that market. Because 1, it's going to make me better and smarter. So when I'm talking, I'm going to be more confident and more capable. But 2, it's going to give them more confidence. So maybe I literally just post recent sales and cherry pick examples and highlight how those on-market deals are so much worse than the private deals I have, right? And maybe I'm giving them the stats update. Remember the other week we went through L-Star stat update. You guys literally could just go and do a screen share on Cashflow Tribe Alpha and talk about the stats. You're not even doing the original research. You're just reading it off. But think about, again, how much confidence that's going to give someone. Oh, shit, houses did sell during COVID. Oh, and isn't the economy about to open up? Oh, I wonder if that's going to give us more deals and stronger price footing, or if that's going to create a worse market. And again, providing providing value intelligently, I think is like critical to scaling your success. So like, it's one thing for us to do the presentations, and that's good because it's leading with value. It's providing value to the audience. We do a little call to action at the end, which is great. But then I think that's the beginning point for me, guys. What we need to do now is step it up and start actually, like, Shahir should be posting stats all the time about St. Thomas. When you guys learn something, when you then just share it with someone else, like, it creates such a trust bond there, right? Because think about the time and energy it took Emma to put together that spreadsheet. Every time she shares that, her clients are going to be like, wow, like, this person cares about me. And again, if we're leading with value first, human nature is to want to reciprocate. So now I want to do deals with you. Now I know, like, and trust you. I'm way more likely to do deals with you.
One thing I've noticed is like all the buyers are asking questions that I don't normally have like the answers to without digging deeper. So like, I think it's going to be important to always have the square footage of the house, always have the like just all the comps laid out for them, always have what's it called, like the renovation budget, like our estimated thing, because everyone asks that question and we can at least have an estimation.
Yeah. Well, and think about it this way, guys.
Zoning.
Why do people even use wholesalers? It's for convenience.
Yeah.
Both the sellers and buyers. The buyers know that if they put in extra hard work, they get better deals and make more money. But they'd rather skip that and have convenience. So what we're doing is we're providing, in essence, a service to them, but we're not, because we're not brokering. But in essence, the reason someone wants a wholesale deal is for that sense of convenience. So the more convenient, the easier we make it to have them say yes. And this is something that almost all of you have individually dealt with me on in the past. When you communicate ineffectively, I usually get very snarky or just don't respond. So when you give me like partial information, when you make it difficult for me to give you a clear answer, like, I immediately shut down. I'm just like, God damn it, this is such a waste of time. We're going to have to go back and forth multiple times. If we're noticing that our buyers have a series of frequently asked questions, why wouldn't we have a cheat sheet just to make it easy for us to answer those frequently asked questions? If every time someone's like, oh man, a flip in Chatham sounds cool, but I don't have a contractor, and we're just like, yeah, that's too bad. You know, we're leaving a lot of opportunity on the table. And I'm not saying that that's what Mike's doing or that's what Shahir's doing, but just think about it that way, guys, right? Is really, are we making things easy for these people? Are we providing convenience? Because the same reason, that's why the sellers choose us, is because we're fast and easy. If we weren't fast and easy, they wouldn't go with us, right? They would call a realtor or they would find an alternative solution. They could easily sell their property for more by themselves. They could go to ComFree if they didn't like realtors still, sell the or Purple Bricks or whatever it's called, sell the property, make likely more money than they would from selling through us. But they want that convenience factor. So we should really be focused on convenience on both ends of the spectrum. And for me, building out those systems and processes, it's just an easy way to cheat, like personally speaking, right? Like Emma created a cheat sheet. We all act as if like, you know, this is elementary school or grade school where you're not allowed to have cheat sheets or you have to have everything memorized. No, like I try and outsource so much of my life now to not in my brain, right? Live out my calendar. Literally everything scheduled from like 5:45 a.m. until like 9:30 at night every single day. And just think about how easy that makes my life, right? I'm just on a rail. And again, think about, in theory, how easy our disposition would do if we just followed all the steps that we've laid out in our processes, right? But again, we just need to really internalize that. I think the one struggle, and maybe Emma, you can touch upon this, is when we get success, we always want to start then taking shortcuts. And so once we have success, then we stop doing the things that made us successful. And I know you touched upon it briefly before, but are there certain ways that you keep yourself accountable or certain ways that you're able to keep from that slipping?
I think it's human nature to feel like, oh, well, I've already got here. I don't need to do those things anymore. Right. And I think for me, it's always reflecting on where am I at now versus where I was? Like I'm not doing as well now, and I'm very honest with myself about that as I was at the beginning of this year pre-COVID. And I've made excuses for myself, and I understand kind of, why I'm in that position. And I was having my best year ever at the beginning of COVID, and I've sort of slumped into this, other people chirping in my ear like we had talked about before. And I think it's just, you can keep yourself accountable. You will always just, a straight line up, but I think it's always being cognizant of how you could be better. Like I always think to myself, I might not be, performing at my highest level right now, but do I understand why, and can I get back there? Because it's just, you're not always good. Like Adam, I'm sure you feel the same with the gym. Like you go through spurts where you're fucking on point with the gym, and then it'll be like 2 or 3 weeks where it's like, I don't know, I'm just not as great right now for some reason. But in those 2 to 3 weeks, are you thinking I'm never going to get back to it? Or you're thinking like, why am I not? And how do I get myself back there? I think you just mentally need to keep reminding yourself, we're not always going to be perfect, but I need to understand what those leverage points are to get me back to where I was. I mean, having I think you guys are good with the metrics. I feel like you guys are better than I am. You got your boards and all that shit. I don't have all that. But I think that like mentally, you just need to always have these reset points with yourself to understand like a little bit under or might be a little bit over sort of where I want to be. But I need to continuously remind myself that like I know what I'm doing to get myself back there. I don't know if that answers your question or not, Matt, but that's kind of my
No, that was excellent. I really appreciate that, Emma. Any content recommendations? So any books, any podcasts, any YouTube channels that you're really digging that you'd recommend the guys check out, either currently or in the past?
Let me scroll through my Audible right now. I was actually listening to The Power of Self-Discipline. I don't know if you've listened to that one, Brian Tracy. That one was pretty good.
That one is so good.
I like that one a lot. The Compound Effect. I don't know if you guys have. That one was really good. I like that a lot. I mean, quite honestly, I feel like going back, with everything that happened with Stefan Aarnio, I feel like going back and just listening to his stuff, whether or not it's kind of your jam or not, I feel like just having his voice in your ear, and like I think everybody, whether or not you actually met him or knew him or didn't, just being in the same industry kind of has a connection to him in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like just constantly having his voice in your ear and understanding what that guy has done in the past and his short 33 years, it's just like as soon as I hear his voice, I'm like, fuck, I need to work harder. Like that's just kind of how I feel. I'm like, man, there's like zero excuse for me right now to not work harder. Like the guy, like even if I feel like even if I started doing everything I could possibly do now going forward, I probably wouldn't even reach the guy. Like, I feel like he did so much in his short time here that just like having his voice in my ears, like, you fucking suck. Like, just work harder.
I love that. And just like, for the record, guys, he's actually right now beating me on blog posts since he died. I've posted 2 and he's posted more since he died. So he's still producing content somehow. So yeah, I think that's a great recommendation. I really appreciate you taking the time, Emma, to hang out with us. Thanks again to Emma for taking the time to shoot this video. If you would like to follow along with her on her journey as a realtor and real estate investor, I'm going to throw a link in the video description down below. Make sure you go give her a follow on Instagram. As well, if you didn't know, we've done a whole series of videos with Emma, so make sure you check those out if you're interested in Airbnb and the GTA. Yeah, I get it. It's not a very popular topic right now during COVID-19, but probably at some point in time in the future, tourism will come back, but who knows. If you want to learn more about Airbnb, definitely check out those videos. Otherwise, if you got value just from today's video, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video.